You know what's funny? Today we post everything. Our food, our mood, our fights, even our peace. We share quotes about privacy. Right after uploading our personal drama! Laughs gently, my friends. Not everything needs an audience. Some things grow better in silence. A seed doesn't announce when it's planted, it just grows. And that's what we need to learn, to let our life grow quietly. People don't destroy what they don't know. But when you start showing everything, you also start inviting opinions, comparisons, and sometimes envy. So today, let's talk about something powerful yet forgotten, the art of keeping your life private. Because the more private you are, the more peaceful you become. And the more peaceful you are, the stronger your life grows. You see, my friends, one of the most powerful lessons life teaches us is that if peace doesn't come from what you gain, it comes from what you protect. And one of the most sacred things you must protect is your privacy. In a world where everyone is screaming for attention, where validation has become oxygen, where silence feels like invisibility, privacy has become a forgotten art. But if you really want peace, if you truly want strength, you must learn to live quietly. Because when you share everything, you open every door for opinions to walk in. People start analyzing your life like a movie they didn't even pay to watch. They begin to compare, to comment, to judge, to interfere. You wake up one morning and realize your peace doesn't belong to you anymore. It belongs to everyone who follows you, everyone who knows your business. And that's how we lose control, not because people took it away, but because we handed it to them, one story, one post, one confession at a time. Peace isn't the absence of problems, it's the absence of unnecessary noise. And privacy is the silence that guards that peace. The moment you decide that not everyone deserves to know what's happening in your life, you'll feel lighter. The moment you stop explaining yourself to people who don't even understand your journey, you'll feel free. When you stop letting the world into every corner of your thoughts, you'll start hearing your own voice again. People think privacy means secrecy. No, privacy means dignity. It's not about hiding, it's about protecting. You don't hide your jewelry in a safe because you're ashamed of it. You hide it because it's valuable. In the same way, you don't keep your life private because you're mysterious. You do it because it's precious. Not everyone has earned the right to know your plans, your pain, your progress. Not everyone can handle your truth with care. The world we live in constantly asks us to share your photos, your location, your emotions, your achievements, your failures. But what the world doesn't tell you is, the more you share, the more open you are to being hurt. The more visible you are, the more you attract both light and shadow. The moment you let too many people into your story, you give them the pen, and they start writing your chapters for you. So learn this. You owe no one an explanation for choosing peace over popularity. You don't have to post your healing to prove you're growing. You don't need to show your scars to prove you've suffered. Let your silence be your strength. Let your calmness speak for you. Let your actions do the talking. Because the quieter you become, the louder your life speaks. When you stop giving people access to your private moments, you'll start realizing something incredible. Peace starts to return. You'll sleep deeper. You'll feel lighter. You'll stop waiting for validation. You'll start living for yourself, not for the audience. Remember, the seed that grows into a tree doesn't tell anyone it's growing. It just grows, quietly, strongly, patiently. And one day, everyone sees the fruit. So protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Protect your mind from overexposure. Protect your dreams from noise. Protect your emotions from judgment. Keep your life private, not because you're scared of the world, but because you finally realized peace is too expensive to lose for the price of attention. Silence, what a beautiful thing it is, and yet how uncomfortable it makes most people feel. We live in a world that worships noise. Everyone wants to be heard. Everyone wants to be seen. Everyone wants to prove something. But have you noticed? The strongest people, the ones who truly make a difference, rarely talk about what they're doing. They're too busy doing it. They move quietly. They think deeply. They grow privately. Because real strength doesn't need to shout. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need to announce its presence. It simply exists, powerful, peaceful, and unshakable. My friends, silence builds strength because it teaches you control. When you can hold your tongue in the heat of anger, when you can walk away from arguments that don't matter, when you can choose to work silently instead of seeking validation, that's strength. Anyone can speak. But it takes real discipline to stay silent, to build in secret, to resist the temptation to prove yourself before the results are ready. The world celebrates noise, loud voices, big opinions, constant display. But what the world doesn't realize is that true transformation happens in the quiet. Think about it. A seed doesn't make noise when it breaks open in the soil. The sun doesn't make a sound when it rises each morning. The universe performs its greatest miracles in absolute silence. Then why are we so afraid to be quiet? Because silence confronts us with ourselves. It shows us our fears, our insecurities, our impatience. But if you can sit in that silence long enough, you'll find your power there. The kind of power that doesn't depend on people's approval. It depends on your own inner alignment. People often say, I'm doing this, I'm starting that, I'm working on something big, and then they stop halfway, drained by the attention they craved too early. That's the problem with noise. It gives temporary validation, but kills long-term growth. You lose focus when you share too soon. You invite judgment before you've even built a foundation. When you tell everyone what you're going to do, you satisfy your ego, not your purpose. But when you stay silent, your ego starves and your soul works. And that's how greatness is built, not in display, but in discipline. Silence is a form of strength because it protects your energy. The more you talk about your goals, the less energy you have to execute them. Every time you announce your intentions, you release a bit of your power. Silence keeps that power inside you, focused, intense, undiluted. You become like a volcano, quietly gathering pressure until the eruption becomes unstoppable. That's what strength looks like. Quiet preparation, steady persistence, no announcement, no show, just results that speak for themselves. The irony is, the world misunderstands quiet people. They think silence means weakness. But they don't see the fire burning behind that calm. They don't see the discipline it takes to walk away instead of fighting every battle. They don't see the patience it takes to wait for the right time. They don't see the strength it takes to stay focused when everyone else is distracted. Real warriors fight silently. Real builders construct quietly. Real winners announce only after they've already won. So, the next time you feel the urge to talk about what you're doing, pause. Let your silence do the talking. Work in the shadows and let your results step into the light. Remember, lions don't roar all day. They hunt in silence and roar only after victory. Let your success be your sound. Let your peace be your proof. Let your silence be your strategy. And one day, when the results finally speak, when people ask, where did this come from? How did you do it? You'll smile, because they won't know about the nights you stayed up working when everyone slept. They won't know about the thoughts you wrestled with in silence. They won't know about the countless rejections you faced quietly. They'll only see the strength that silence built. And that's the beauty of it. When you grow in silence, you don't just achieve success, you earn peace. You don't just become stronger, you become wiser. Silence is not emptiness. It's not weakness. It's the sacred space where transformation happens. So learn to move quietly. Don't explain. Don't prove. Don't announce. Just become. Because the truth is, when you master silence, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, nothing in this noisy world can shake your peace again. You see, no matter how pure your heart is, no matter how clean your intentions are, people will always see things through the lens of their own experiences, their own wounds, their own assumptions. That's the tragedy of the human mind. We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are. You may speak with love, but someone will hear it as arrogance. You may act with kindness, but someone will call it manipulation. You may stay quiet to keep peace, and someone will call it pride. And that's why, my friends, keeping your life private is not about secrecy. It's about protection. Protection from misunderstanding, from misjudgment, from the unnecessary noise of those who never took time to understand you in the first place. When you open your heart too wide, people walk in with dirty feet. They don't mean to hurt you sometimes, but they will, because everyone sees your truth through their own confusion. The problem isn't that people misunderstand you. It's that we expect them not to. We expect understanding from people who have never walked our path, never felt our pain, never carried our load. You share your story thinking they'll feel your emotions, but they start editing it with their own opinions. And suddenly, your truth becomes distorted, twisted, and used against you. That's why wisdom says, keep sacred things sacred. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Sometimes silence is the best explanation. You don't owe anyone the full story of your struggles. You don't have to defend yourself when people misinterpret your actions. Because every time you start explaining, you hand over your peace in exchange for validation. And here's the irony. Those who misunderstand you don't want clarity, they want chaos. They thrive on confusion because it gives them something to talk about. So why give them the satisfaction? Let them assume. Let them guess. Let them talk. Your truth doesn't become false just because it's misunderstood. When you begin to understand that misunderstanding is part of life, you stop taking it personally. You realize it's not about you. It's about where people are mentally and emotionally. Some people are so broken that they can only see the world through cracks. And no matter how genuine you are, they'll find a flaw. That's why the wisest people often walk quietly. They don't explain. They don't argue. They don't try to convince. They let time reveal what words cannot. There's a deep peace that comes when you no longer feel the need to prove your heart, because explaining yourself to the wrong people is like speaking poetry to someone who doesn't understand the language. It's wasted breath. Your actions, your silence, your consistency, they will speak louder than 1,000 words ever could. And those who truly know you won't need explanations, and those who don't, explanations won't help them anyway. You know, There's a reason the most sacred things in life are hidden. Your soul is hidden inside your body. The roots of a tree are buried beneath the ground. Even the foundation of a building is unseen. Why? Because what's essential doesn't need to be displayed to be powerful. In the same way, your truth doesn't need to be constantly shared or defended to remain valid. It just needs to be lived. The more you keep explaining, the more you drain your emotional energy. Every time you try to make someone understand your motives, you give a piece of your calm away. And the truth is, you'll never satisfy everyone. You'll never be completely understood. Not by family, not by friends, not even by the people you love the most. So stop trying, live your truth quietly. Let your peace be your answer. Let your consistency speak over time. Because people may misunderstand your words, but they cannot misunderstand your results. So the next time someone misreads your silence, your distance, your choices, don't rush to correct them. Let them think what they want. You don't need to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. You don't need to open your soul to be seen as real. Sometimes the best way to protect your peace is to stay private, stay kind, and let your actions prove what your words no longer can. Understand this. Misunderstanding doesn't destroy you, over-explaining does. Because when you start explaining yourself to everyone, you lose yourself in the process. You begin shaping your truth to fit their understanding, and before you know it, you're living someone else's version of your story. Keep your truth sacred. Keep your life private. Let people misunderstand you. It's okay. They misunderstood every great soul that ever walked this earth. The goal isn't to be understood by everyone. The goal is to stay at peace even when you're not. So let them talk. Let them guess. Let them create stories. Because while they're busy talking about you, you're busy growing. And one day, your peace will speak louder than their opinions ever could. Your energy is your most valuable currency. Every thought, every feeling, every word you speak, it costs you something. But here's the problem, we spend it carelessly. We give it away to people who drain us, to situations that don't deserve us, and to opinions that never mattered in the first place. You must protect your energy like you protect your home. You wouldn't leave your door open for strangers to walk in and scatter your things, would you? Yet every day, many of us leave our minds wide open for anyone to enter, criticize, gossip, compare, and plant negativity. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone deserves to know what's going on inside your heart or your mind. Some people are not curious because they care. They're curious because they're bored. They don't come to understand you. They come to gather information about you. And once they have it, they use it. Sometimes to feel better about themselves, sometimes to judge, sometimes just to talk. That's why privacy isn't selfish, it's self-care. It's emotional hygiene. Just like you don't let everyone touch your food or wear your clothes, don't let everyone touch your peace. You have to start treating your energy like a sacred space. Be selective. Be mindful. Who do you talk to when you're vulnerable? Who do you open up to when you're struggling? Because some people don't deserve that version of you. They haven't earned it. Some people only show up to collect details, not to offer support. And when you begin to understand that, you stop oversharing. You stop explaining your every decision. You stop trying to justify your feelings. You simply say less and feel more in control. Energy protection is not about cutting everyone off. It's about creating healthy distance. You can love people deeply and still not give them access to your every thought. You can care for others and still keep certain parts of your life private. That's not being distant, that's being wise. Because the more people you let into your private space, the more opinions you'll have to manage, the more judgments you'll have to fight, the more peace you'll lose trying to please everyone. Your mind becomes a marketplace, noisy and crowded when it was meant to be a garden, calm, quiet, and growing. Think about how you feel after spending time with certain people. Some leave you lighter, others leave you heavier. That's energy. When you talk to someone who listens with love, you feel recharged. But when you share with someone who listens to gossip, you feel drained. And yet most of us don't protect that energy. We pour our feelings into people who don't value them. We share our goals with people who secretly hope will fail. We let everyone into our sacred emotional space, and then we wonder why we feel so tired all the time. The truth is, your peace has a price. Every conversation, every argument, every unnecessary explanation, it all costs energy. And sometimes silence is cheaper. Sometimes walking away is wiser. Sometimes keeping things to yourself is the most powerful act of self-love you can perform. Protecting your energy doesn't mean you stop caring about others. It means you start caring about yourself too. It means you stop trying to save everyone and start saving your own peace first. You must learn to recognize emotional boundaries. Not everyone who smiles at you is a friend. Not everyone who listens to you is loyal. Some people will use your words against you, twist your vulnerability into gossip, and your openness into ammunition. That's why being private is powerful. When people don't know what's going on inside you, they can't use it to control or hurt you. Your silence becomes your shield, your calm becomes your strength. Protect your energy by being intentional with your presence. Don't be everywhere. Don't respond to everything. Don't attend every argument you're invited to. Sometimes the best response is no response. Not because you're weak, but because you value your peace more than proving your point. The people who truly understand you will not demand explanations. They'll feel your intentions. They'll respect your silence. You are not meant to be an open book to everyone. You are a sacred story, and only a few people deserve to read every chapter. The rest can see the cover and admire it from afar. The more you value your energy, the more peace you'll attract. Because life has a simple rule: what you protect grows. Protect your energy and you'll find yourself calmer. Protect your time and you'll find yourself more focused. Protect your peace and you'll find yourself happier. Remember, you can't control how others behave, but you can control who gets access to you. You don't owe the world your presence at the cost of your peace. Learn to walk away quietly. Learn to say no gracefully. Learn to close the door without anger, without guilt, without explanation. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to keep your life private and your energy sacred. When you do that, you stop surviving the world and start living in peace within it. Emotional discipline, it's something we rarely talk about, but it's the foundation of peace, of growth, of maturity. You see, the real test of strength isn't how loud you can shout when you're angry or how fast you can react when someone disrespects you. The real test is how calmly you can respond when your ego is burning inside. It's how gracefully you can stay silent when you know you could destroy someone with the truth. It's how you choose to hold your composure when life provokes you to lose it. That's emotional discipline. And it's the reason privacy is power. Because when you learn to keep things to yourself, When you stop reacting to every situation, every rumor, every opinion, you take back control of your peace. We live in a time where everyone feels the need to express everything instantly. Someone hurts us, we post about it. Something good happens, we announce it. Someone disagrees with us, we argue back. But maturity, my friends, is the art of choosing peace over reaction. It's the understanding that not everything deserves your response. Not every emotion deserves an audience. Sometimes the best move is no move. Sometimes silence speaks louder than your anger ever could. Emotional discipline is the ability to feel deeply but respond wisely. When you practice emotional discipline, you no longer let your feelings become your master. You learn to feel without acting impulsively. You learn that your peace is more important than your pride. You understand that self-control is not weakness, it's mastery. It's easy to explode when you're provoked, but it takes strength to breathe through the chaos, to choose calm when your heart is on fire. That's what emotional discipline does. It transforms your reactions into reflections. You stop living on emotional autopilot. You start responding with awareness. Keeping your life private is one of the purest acts of emotional discipline. It means you don't feel the need to prove anything. You don't need to show your happiness to feel it. You don't need to broadcast your pain to validate it. You don't seek attention. You seek balance. When you stop announcing every emotion, you realize how much unnecessary noise you were carrying. Every opinion, every argument, every comment, it all steals a bit of your energy. But when you choose privacy, you choose peace. You conserve your emotional fuel for what truly matters. There's great power in not reacting. Imagine someone says something cruel to you. The old you might jump to defend yourself, to fight back, to make them understand your side, but the disciplined you, the wiser you, just smiles and walks away. Not because you're weak, but because you refuse to give your energy to chaos. You've learned that peace is more valuable than proving your point. You've learned that time will expose truth better than any argument ever could. And so you hold your silence. You keep your dignity. You keep your calm. That's strength. Emotional discipline also means you don't let temporary feelings make permanent decisions. How many times have we ruined something good because we couldn't control what we said in anger? How many relationships, opportunities, or moments of peace have we lost because we couldn't pause before reacting? The moment you start mastering your emotions, you stop being controlled by them. You realize that not every thought deserves to be spoken, not every feeling deserves to be shared, and not every battle deserves to be fought. Sometimes people will test your patience. They'll misunderstand you, provoke you, push you to react, not because they care, but because they want to see you lose control. And when you refuse to give them that satisfaction, when you stay calm and private, you win a battle far bigger than any argument. You win yourself. Because the greatest victory is self-mastery. When you master your emotions, you master your life. Being private doesn't mean you're emotionless. It means you're emotionally intelligent. You know when to speak and when to stay silent. You know when to open your heart and when to protect it. You know that peace is something you build, not something you find. Privacy gives you space to process emotions before expressing them. It gives you the clarity to respond with purpose, not pain. And it reminds you that your inner world is sacred, not a public stage for every mood and thought to perform on. True discipline is quiet. You don't announce that you're staying calm, you just are. You don't explain why you're silent. You simply know it's the right thing. You don't seek applause for your control. Your peace is reward enough. And as you practice this kind of inner discipline, you'll notice something magical. The world loses its power to shake you. Words that once offended you now mean nothing. People who once drained you can no longer reach you. You stop chasing explanations and start embracing calm. So hold your emotions gently but firmly. Feel everything, but don't act on everything. Let your heart feel, but let your mind lead. That's what makes a person truly powerful. Not how much they say, but how much they can hold in silence. Keeping your life private doesn't mean you're hiding. It means you've grown beyond the need for attention. It means you've learned that strength isn't loud, it's calm, composed, and deeply rooted. When you master emotional discipline, the world becomes quieter. You stop reacting to every noise, every judgment, every opinion. You realize that your peace is not found in what happens around you, but in how you respond within you. And that's when you'll finally feel it. That beautiful, steady calm that comes from knowing you control yourself, and in doing so, you control your life. Comparison, it's one of the most silent killers of happiness, and yet it's something most of us fall into without even realizing it. We scroll through a screen, see someone's picture, their success, their relationship, their lifestyle, and suddenly, our perfectly fine life starts to feel small, our blessings start to feel basic. And that, my friends, is how peace begins to die, not because life got worse, but because our eyes wandered into someone else's lane. When you share too much, and when you see too much, comparison starts creeping in. Privacy, however, creates a protective wall around your peace. It shields you from that constant urge to measure your worth against someone else's story. You see, comparison is not born out of awareness, it's born out of exposure. The more you expose yourself to the lives of others, the more you start questioning your own. Someone posts a vacation, and suddenly your routine feels boring. Someone announces a new job, and suddenly your work feels meaningless. Someone uploads a happy photo with their partner, and suddenly your relationship feels incomplete. But here's the truth. You're not seeing their life. You're seeing a highlight, a filtered moment, a performance. And if you're not careful, you start competing with something that doesn't even exist. That's why keeping your life private is a form of emotional wisdom. When you stop broadcasting your every move, you stop inviting comparison, both from others and within yourself. You stop comparing your behind the scenes with someone else's best moments. You start focusing inward on what you need to grow, what you want to heal, what you truly value. Privacy gives you space to stay in your own lane, to measure your life not by what others are doing, but by who you are becoming. Think about it. A flower never compares itself to another flower. It simply blooms. The sun doesn't look at the moon and question its timing. It simply rises when it's meant to. Yet we humans, with all our intelligence, constantly compare our seasons with someone else's. But what we forget is that everyone's timing is different. Some grow fast, some slow, some bloom early, some later, but each journey is unique. And when you keep your life private, you give yourself permission to grow at your own pace without the pressure of outside eyes. Comparison breeds insecurity. Insecurity breeds doubt. Doubt kills potential. And before you know it, you stop being grateful for your blessings because you're too busy counting someone else's. That's why privacy is peace. When you stop watching others so closely, you begin to see your own life more clearly. You begin to notice the beauty in your small wins, the joy in your simple moments, the meaning in your quiet growth. You stop rushing, stop proving, stop competing, because you realize you're not in a race. You're on a journey, and it's meant to be lived, not compared. When you overshare, you not only open yourself to others' opinions, but also to their projections. Someone will always have more, and someone will always have less. The moment you attach your happiness to what others are doing, your peace becomes fragile. It depends on external conditions instead of internal balance. But when you pull back, when you keep things private, you build that peace from within. You stop being shaken by the noise outside because you're too grounded in your own growth. It's okay to be inspired by others, but never to the point where you start losing appreciation for your own journey. When you compare, you forget that every success has a hidden struggle, every smile hides a story, and every perfect life online is often full of unseen chaos offline. Privacy helps you stay connected to your truth, not the illusion of someone else's. It reminds you that the only person you need to be better than is the version of you from yesterday. The more you compare, the less you celebrate. The less you celebrate, the less joy you feel. But when you keep your blessings private, they feel more sacred. You don't need to post every achievement to feel accomplished. You don't need to display your happiness to prove it's real. You don't need to make others see your worth. You need to feel it quietly within. That's real confidence. That's real success. You'll notice that the happiest people aren't necessarily the ones with the most, but the ones who are content with what they have. And the most content people are often the most private ones. Not because they have something to hide, but because they've learned to cherish their peace more than attention. They don't need validation. They live from appreciation. They don't measure their growth in likes or followers, but in inner calm and quiet gratitude. So stop comparing your journey to others. Your timeline is yours. Your pace is yours. Your story doesn't have to match anyone else's to be meaningful. The only person who truly needs to understand your path is you. Keep your goals private, your progress private, your healing private. Not out of fear, but out of respect for your process. Let people see the results, not the struggle. Let them see the glow, not the grind. Privacy protects you from the poison of comparison. It gives you the space to grow without pressure, to fall without judgment, to rise without noise. And one day, when you finally bloom, quietly, beautifully, in your own time, you'll realize you never needed to compare at all. Because peace was never about being ahead of others. It was always about being whole within yourself.